I Made It Michele, and this is episode number 21, Lessons Learned from Stress Eating. Welcome to the I Cut the Mustard show, where you'll learn how to stop stressing, stop stress eating, and start fitting into those skinny jeans. Because whether it's belly fat or bloating, stress stinks. But don't worry, you've got what it takes. You're sharp enough. You cut the mustard. Hey guys, how are you doing today? First, I wanted to start by sharing a huge celebration. I am so proud of myself right now. I have officially stopped stress eating. I've stopped overeating. And if you know anything about me, I like to do this little celebration, shing, and a little swipe with my hand like I'm chopping some mustard, because that is a big deal. And I wanted to share with you what I have learned from my journey so far. I'm sure there's still a little bit of a journey to come, but I have stopped stress eating, and I want to share with you the lessons that I've learned, because I know the journey is long, my friends, and it can feel dark. So the first lesson that I want to share with you is number one, it is possible and it's awesome. Okay, that's lesson number one. It's possible and it's awesome, because I remember thinking that it wasn't possible. Number one, it's not possible for me because I've tried a million times and I've failed, so there must be something wrong with me. And number two, is it even possible for anyone? Because food is just such a part of our life. It is absolutely everywhere. You've got to eat to survive. So how can you stop stress eating when temptation is everywhere? I just couldn't wrap my brain around how it could even be possible. And I think this one is really huge for all of us. If you are interested in changing the way you eat, if you want to take control over your life and your food, I think it has to start with the hope, with the belief that it is possible. And I'm sharing with you my story today because I want to give you that belief. If I can. I want to say it so many times that it is possible and it is awesome. It's amazing. It's worth it, so that you can start thinking to yourself, maybe it is possible. Maybe she is right? So let me tell you a little bit what I define as not stressing and not stress eating. For me, it means that I can sit down at the table and I can decide halfway through the meal that I want to stop because I'm full, and I'll stop. And for me, it means that I'm feeling stressed out. I feel like worthless is usually when I go to the kitchen. So for me, it's whenever I'm feeling those terrible feelings of worthlessness and I go to the kitchen and I want to eat something, and I stop and I tell myself, you know what? It's not worth it. It's that control. For me, that's what it is. It's not necessarily about what I'm eating, but it's when I'm eating it, and it's that I am in control of that process. So for me, I defined stop stress eating as being in control, and it's going to look different for everyone. And that's why I feel like you can make your own rules about it, and I'll show you how. But you can make your own rules, and whenever you do, then once you've have the power to follow your own rules, to me, that means you've made it. You've stopped stress eating because you have the power to follow your rules 95% of the time. There might be a time or two that you eat something, or you eat a little bit more than you should have, so you're feeling extra full, right? That's going to happen from time to time, maybe, but 95% of the time, you're going to be awesome. Okay? I'm going to give you the second part of that lesson learned. It's awesome. I can't even explain to you how fabulous it feels, because when you're stress eating all the time, or even if you're having episodes of stress eating, it feels terrible. It feels like you're powerless. I remember it so vividly. I just feel like a total piece of trash. I feel like I'm worthless. That's the reason I started eating in the first place. I felt worthless. Then I ate something. Now I feel terrible. Now I've got a headache, or I've got brain fog, or I'm exhausted from the sugar and the crap that I ate. Then I feel terrible about myself because I did that thing that I know was harming my body, and I ate too much and I'm fat and I'm bloated and that's bad for my digestion, blah, blah, blah. I just feel so guilty and terrible. It is awful. But the worst part is that it feels uncontrollable. I can't tell you how many times I tried to stop overeating and how many times I failed and how many times I did it and I held out for 4 days and it was like clenching and it was so painful, like I'm holding on for dear life and I'm exerting all of my willpower. It cannot possibly be this hard all the time. And then I give up because it's not worth it. It's so hard, right? That's how terrible it feels to overeat whenever that's a problem for you. And it's awful. And then on top of that, you are bloated, you've got weight gain and all that other stuff that comes from it. So then you're feeling terrible about yourself. It's easy to feel terrible about yourself. So I think that's terrible. But you know what's awesome? When you stop. It's so awesome. It feels so freeing. You feel so proud of yourself. I feel so proud that I can sit there at a meal and I can say, this is enough. This is more. I've had more than enough and I can set it aside. Or I can be stressed in the kitchen and say, wow, I'd really like to go get some chocolate right now. And I can tell myself, you know what? You're not really gonna like that. It's not gonna be worth it. And I say, you're right. And I can believe myself and I can move on. And it's that easy. And it isn't the white knuckle feeling. It isn't fighting all the time. It's not miserable all the time. Okay. The lesson number 2, however, is that it is disappointing. Whenever you stop overeating, it's disappointing because what you thought was bringing you comfort no longer does. All right. You get to see food as it truly is. And when you do, it makes it easier to stop overeating, but you're also terribly disappointed. I remember writing a letter to food, which I'll have to share in another episode, but saying, food, like, what did you do? I thought you were supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to comfort me whenever I'm down, and you're not. What is the deal? Because whenever I see it as it is, I know that I could go and eat that chocolate, but it's just going to be a total letdown. It's not really going to help me feel better. And then I'm going to hate myself more later. And I can see it so clearly that the chocolate is totally not worth it. So that brings me to lesson number 3, that there is a decision. The way that you stop overeating, overdrinking, or smoking or other things is that there's a firm decision that must be made. And you'll know if you've made that decision whenever you say something like this. I realized that it wasn't doing me any good. I realized it wasn't doing me any favors. Or it isn't worth it, right? Those are the kind of statements you're going to hear yourself saying, because I've heard them from people who stopped drinking, who stopped smoking. They say those statements. I just woke up one day and I realized it wasn't worth it. I realized that it wasn't doing me any favors. To my chain smoking grandfather who woke up to I think it was quadruple bypass surgery, he realized it's not worth it. And you know what? He figured out how to stop real quick because life was worth it. So you'll know that you've made the decision whenever you are saying those sorts of things. You'll know that you haven't made the decision when you're saying things like, I should really stop. I really need to get it together. I really shouldn't, but this would be nice if I ate this. I ate it because I didn't want to be rude, or it's so hard, how it's just so hard to eat healthy. We say this stuff all the time, right? Or I just can't. Other people can do it, but I just can't. I see food and I've got to eat it, right? There's just something wrong with me. Those are the kind of statements that you're having whenever you're still wrestling with it. And that's totally okay. All that means is that you haven't made the decision yet. Lesson number 4, the reason that you are overeating or stress eating is because you think it has some benefit for you. You think it has a benefit for you in some way. That's it. That's the only reason you're stress eating. You think it's actually comforting you, so you do it. When you realize that it's not, then you'll stop doing it. That's the answer. That's the solution. It's that easy, right? Okay. And lesson number 5 is it's really about changing your thoughts, and it's not about the food at all. So kind of going back to lesson number 4, that the only reason that you're doing this is because you think it's helping you. And it's really just all about your thoughts. And whenever you can change your thoughts, whenever you can figure out what are the reasons why I'm eating this, why I'm still eating, why I think that I can't stop, and really look at them, really question them, really dissect them, then you free yourself from food. Okay? So it's not about the food. I remember being on a ride with my friend. We were serving a mission in Japan together at the time, and something stressful had happened. We went to the convenience store. I bought a big bar of chocolate. Oh, their chocolate is so delicious there. And I just shoved it all in my mouth, one after another. And she said, "It's not about the food." And I remember her thinking, what? It is about the food. This stuff is delicious. It's feeling so great. But if it was really about the food, I would have savored that moment and I would have really enjoyed that delicious piece of chocolate. It wasn't about the food. It was about me feeling better, right? And then my last one, lesson number 6 is it's just as bad either way. So a couple months ago, I had given up. I had made my decision and it was fabulous. It was awesome. I felt so freed and I thought there's no way I'm going back to stress eating because this feels amazing. But a couple weeks later, something else happened and I slowly trickled back into it. And the thing that brought me out of it this time was realizing that it's just as bad either way. It's just as hard either way. So whenever I am stress eating, it stinks, right? Because of all the reasons I just said. It's no fun. It's hard, right? And whenever I'm trying to stop stress eating, when I have to think about when I'm doing that mental work, when I'm trying to figure out what's going on inside my brain, and I'm talking to myself, trying to convince myself that it's not worth it, that's hard too, right? It's hard to say no whenever I really want it, but it's hard either way. Okay. So that's the thing I came to decide. It's hard either way. I feel deprived either way. And since that's true, I'm going to choose freedom and awesomeness because it's going to be hard either way. And I'm going to keep saying that in continuing episodes because I've heard people say that before, but whenever it clicked, it clicked. And when that clicks for you, when you realize that it's not worth it, that it's hard either way, and you'd rather set it down, it's not doing me any favors, and move on and experience the freedom that you've always dreamed of in your life, that is going to be one of the things that helps you do that. And I just want to again tell you that it is possible. It is awesome. It is worth it. It doesn't mean that all of your problems are going to go away. It's not that you're never stressed out again. You just learn that stress eating is not the best way to handle your stress. And you learn that on a deep level. You come to know the truth about food and it becomes easy to walk away. At that point, it's easy. Okay. I'm saying easy and I just said it was hard. So I know that's confusing, but it's relatively easy. Whenever I was struggling before, whenever I secretly wanted food, when there was some ties that I had to food and I didn't understand the truth about food, it was hard. It was a strain and I couldn't do it. It was not only hard, it was impossible, right? I couldn't let go. But knowing the truth about food, knowing that it's worth it to give it up, it's hard sometimes, but it's possible and it's awesome and it's worth it. And that's what I want for you. That's why I'm here singing it to the stars. If you want to talk to me more about this, go ahead and sign up for that Stress Less call. Let's cue the outro. Have a great day. Bye-bye. What's one thing that's really been weighing you down? Are you ready to kick it to the side? Then join me for a stress less call today, where you'll learn the /1 mindset tool that I use to stop stressing and find relief right now. Go to icutthemustard.com/stress less to sign up for that call today.